Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hyde Park Town Board meeting for June 9th, 2025, 6 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to accept the meetings of May 12th, 2025 and May 16th, 2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does any of the town board members have any conflict of interest regarding any of the items listed on tonight's meeting agenda?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay. We're going right to presentation. Right? We have some acknowledgement and appreciation certificates we'd like to present. I think we should pass them down. Let everybody do them.
Let's start.
That's me.
Okay, certificate of appreciation is awarded to William Steenberg. The Town of Hyde Park would like to congratulate you on the auspicious celebration of 40 years of service as a fire chief and the many hats you've worn at the Roosevelt Engine Company 3. We commemorate your service and commitment to our community.
Yeah, we can.
Come up here.
Get the hand out too,
Easier.
Hold on 1 second.
They can start singing.
Okay, testing. Okay, I'd just like to say, Bill's a personal friend of mine. He done a phenomenal job helping out the town, helping out all the residents in the town. I got to commend him, Bill, for all your years that you were with the Roosevelt Fire Department, the EMS, everything that you've done for the community. We greatly appreciate that, and we know that, you know, you just finished up your last cycle with the Arlington Fire District, and I know we wanted to get you in, and Beth is Bill's wife. Beth is commendable. She doesn't say boo. She lets poor Bill go out in the middle of the night. The town has called on him numerous times for numerous things, and it's always let me take care of it, John. I'll look into it and get right back to you. So, Bill, we appreciate everything. We hope you're going to enjoy your retirement and do a little traveling and slow down and enjoy some time with your wife. God bless you.
This certificate of recognition is awarded to Lee Darrow for receiving the honor of School Bus Driver of the Year. By the Dutchess County Traffic Safety Board, the Town of Hyde Park commends you for such an outstanding accomplishment.
Lou?
Sorry. Thank you.
Good job, Lou. Very good. Thank you. Right here. Stand right in between. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good job. Good job.
Certificate of Appreciation this is awarded to Mary Langanu of Garden Habitat. The Town of Hyde Park would like to recognize the hard work and commitment in designing the gardens at the Town Hall and Town Parks for the cleanup, planting of fresh flowers, and mulching for the Town of Hyde Park. Thank you very much.
Sure you want to take your certificate and run? Yeah, I know.
There's no money in there.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
This certificate is awarded to Hyde Park Visual Environment. The Town of Hyde Park would like to recognize the hard work and commitment each year in holiday decorating, cleanup, planting, fresh flowers, mulching throughout the Town of Hyde Park. I don't know what else you can do. I don't know who, I think Kathy's here for this. And the whole, bring them up. Thank you.
We're bringing the board up.
All hands on deck. Look at that.
Is the whole
We have to make a
board
bridge.
member. Yeah.
You're on one side, I'm on the other.
Yeah, Mark, you gotta move in there a little.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody can see you.
Thank you very much.
Why everybody's here, let this TV, let them just speak in the microphone, their name, so they can be recognized. Is that okay?
I'll do that, it's like Price is Right.
Joan Meyerhofer.
Nancy Belasuknia.
Nancy Dodder.
Hank Belasuknia. Ron Lane.
Kathy Lane.
Very good. Thank you. Good job, guys. Good job. Thank you very much. Thank you. The next certificate is to Barbara Hobins. To the Town of Hyde Park, would like to recognize the hard work and commitment in designing the gardens at the Town Hall and Town Parks for the cleanup, planting, and fresh flowers and mulching for the Town of Hyde Park. Everything looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful. Beautiful.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
The next certificate of appreciation is for Diego Aragon, and please forgive me if my pronunciation's off. The Town of Hyde Park would like to recognize you for your hard work and commitment in designing the gardens of the Town Hall and Town Parks for the cleanup, planting, fresh flowers, mulching the Town of Hyde Park. Thank you, sir.
Good job, good job.
Thank you so much. And you, can you get it? And you might as well. Yeah, I recognize everybody here and.
You had a good supervisor.
I didn't know.
No, not him, over here, I'm talking about.
But Diego and I moved those,
I was gonna say.
those solid steel, heavy as anything, benches, and I first said, oh, I'll pick them up with you. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, this is gonna be a task, and it was. But they've worked hard diligently. I watched them out there, Barbara's in the dirt like crazy. And then also, I seen you out there working too. You're doing a great job. And like visual environment, you can see what they do, you know? And Barbara's put so much time into making sure that It's native to Hyde Park, not anywhere else.
That's right.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
It's an honor that should be bestowed only upon the elected and those that are being honored.
The next portion of the workshop is going to be pushed a little further in time because one of the attorneys is working and is a little late and will be here. Okay. Does anyone have any public comments about any of the resolutions this evening?
We have a Dennis Pavlock.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Dennis Pavlock, 21 Farm Lane. I came here last week, gave your town board some information and some concern of mine and the surrounding residents of 21 Farm Lane. Let me read it off to you. I know you have it in your packet, but I'd like to read it as well. I'm writing this letter to you because of a concern of residents on Farm Lane and the surrounding residents that are in the area as well. We are requesting proper signage and enforcement on this issue as well, stating do not block side streets of Farm Lane and Kessler Road, northbound, southbound of Route 9 because of vehicle traffic law. States this traffic law 1175, Title 7, Article 29. I'd like to know what happens next. I'd like to know, I know I've been involved in City of Beacon politics for 25 years down there. If I'm not mistaken, and if you want to correct me, then so be it. To my knowledge, it's the town board makes a recommendation to the DOT, and then the DOT puts up the signs. Is that how it works in the town? Is that how it would work, or is that to my
Yes.
knowledge, or?
I don't know if our recommendation does any good, but we can make a request.
Okay, because normally when the request is made, then the DOT puts them up according to when in a timely time manner of doing it. I also like to ask another question, because I know the big months of July and August are big vacation months, and I was a big person not a big. I don't mean big. I became popular because of what I did, but I'm not trying to sit here and toot my own horn. What I like to say is it's a big vacation month, July and August, and when representatives such as yourselves go away, do we have overlapping that covers? Because any resident, including myself, call here and say, hey, I have a concern that needs to be addressed or to be looked at. Oh, Mr. Ma'am or Sir, they're on vacation, and I wouldn't like to hear that as well as any other town resident would like to hear that. So I don't know. You normally have coverage, have somebody.
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
So I'll give you a quick rundown. For the first part of your written complaint or suggestion, first we'd have to verify the facts if they're true and correct, or if it is problematic.
Okay.
So Howie Fisher, that's our highway superintendent, I shipped that correspondent to him. He's been off for 2 weeks. He just got back today, and he's had a full agenda. So he's going to put his eyes on it. He's been here a long time, and then he is going to report to us, and then we'll have a discussion amongst the board members to see what action we want to take if there's an action needed.
Just so you know, I want to add, if I didn't want to forget, a member of the police department reached out to me
Yeah, I sent Chief Benson your letter as well, and they were looking for your
Thank you
phone
very
number,
much. Thank you very
so
much
they
for
can
that.
address
And
the matter
and
too.
I let the officer know, I don't know what his rank was, but I let him know that how professional that was to return my phone call, and that's what I let him know, and, you know, respect goes both ways.
Yep.
So I wanted to thank him for that, and I thank the chief again tonight for it, and, you know, where I used to live, I wouldn't have ever got a phone call like that, but once again, we're Hyde Park and we're professional.
Yeah, so that's
That's what I
it.
like about living here.
So that takes care of your first scenario. Your second scenario is Al's always around, and Al's can be easily be reached, but Don, the deputy supervisor, he's always around, and a lot of people have my personal cell number, and a lot of the other town board members.
I don't.
Well, I'd be more than glad to give it to you, and then just make sure that I block your number when it comes in.
I knew that was coming, town board member, I knew that was coming.
So everybody works together.
Okay.
We don't miss a beat, and so I
Thank
just
you.
want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Chief.
So that is how it's supposed to work. Councilperson takes it, moves it forward, a little assistance from John. If anything was wrong, she shipped it to the right person. That's how you got the quick response. So your councilman, or councilwoman, in this case, moved it exactly the way they're supposed to. Okay? So, kudos. Good move. Right. Anyone else? No. Okay. So we go on to resolutions.
Resolution 69-1 of 2025, resolution adopting towing regulation pursuant to local law number 2 of the 2025 entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 103 of the Town of Hyde Park Code regarding towing of vehicles.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried and finally done.
Liz?
Resolution 69, what?
So Chief, do you want to add anything, any comments on this now that this is in effect? What's going to take place from this point moving forward with the tow truck law so that everybody's familiar with it, please?
Thank you, John. I just wanted to thank the board for taking this on. I looked back at my records, and we first met with John in May of 2024 to start working on this. We worked with Joe from Kyle's office, and we put together many different scenarios of trying to make the law right and comprehensive to cover everything that wasn't covered the first time it was passed in 2012. We tried to put something together that's fair for all the tow truck drivers, but also fair for the residents and for the town to make sure that we closed any loopholes that were in there. We did include, we had June 14th, 2024, we had a meeting with all the tow companies. We explained to them what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. We had correspondence throughout this whole process of almost a year now of working on this law, and I'm glad we got it finished. We are prepared with a new list to be implemented. I'm not sure, Sarah, it takes 30 days for this law to go into effect from today, correct?
Correct.
So 30 days from today, the new list will take place. We have it all ready to go. Steve Leung and Detective McGaw put a lot of time and effort into this, inspecting every single tow company, every location where their cars are held, looking at all the drivers, all the trucks, to make sure all the trucks are properly equipped. And everyone should know that we have a lot of really good tow companies here in the town of Hyde Park. And the ones that we have, the good ones that in the town of Hyde Park are going to be included on this list. They've all been vetted. They've all paid their fees to be inspected. And I want to thank Officer Leung and Sergeant McGaw for all their hard work in putting this together. And Councilman Lombardi, you were with us right side by side through this whole thing. And we wouldn't have got that with a lot of other town board members that would spend the time and effort to get this law finished and get it completed. So 30 days from today, it will go into effect. And if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to myself or Officer Leung, and we'll gladly answer any of them.
Thanks, Chief. Just as a point of clarification, so the local law was actually passed
Yes.
a while back, right? Wasn't it a couple of months ago?
We had to make the revisions. we had to make a revisions, we had to attach the documentation on the back, so that's why we had to do it again.
Oh, okay, well, all this is doing is, this is just simply providing the rules and the policy implementing the toll law.
Okay.
But the toll law has already been the toll law is done, the toll law is
Okay.
passed, so that's already in
We never
effect.
got we never got anything back from the state.
You had to get something back from the state.
Oh, you
I
did?
believe we
Yeah.
did, yeah. That was,
Okay, because
that was at the beginning
it
of the
was-
year.
It was told, explain to me if I'm incorrect, Chief. It was told to us that since we didn't attach these 2 pages, it had to be done over, and I was under the impression that's why we attached them with the resolution and then did the resolution again tonight.
Oh, well, okay. What I was told what I was told Cecilia needed was, she wanted actually like a policies and procedures outlined in writing to implement the law that you've already passed. And that's what we did. That's what I did based upon those instructions. So I typed up all the rules and regulations from the local law, and put them together, and then we circulated and
I never saw them, Kyle.
okay. They should have been circulated. And then that's what this resolution is supposed to be about, is implementing those rules.
Well, we're prepared to implement it today. We can do it.
Well, what I'd like you to do, though, Chief, if it's okay with you, because check these.
Okay.
We can always do another resolution
Absolutely.
and change something in terms of policies and procedures.
Yep.
So if you wouldn't mind, take a look at them. If there's something missing, something wrong, or something needs to be taken away or added, please let me know, or let the board know, and we'll fix it.
I'll check it tomorrow and I'll get back to everyone
That'd be
tomorrow.
great.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chief.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
John, I think you're,
Yeah, I am.
Liz?
Liz.
Resolution 69-2 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to reappoint Craig Elderkin to the Town of Hyde Park Veterans Affairs Committee and designate him as the chairperson for said committee.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowsky.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Craig has done a wonderful job on this. Motion carried. As you can see, we have a lot of banners up on that, and he's done a wonderful job. Okay.
Resolution 69-3 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Supervisor to execute an agreement for the continuation of grant consulting services with Millennium Strategies LLC for the assistance in researching and applying for potential grant funding for the Town of Hyde Park.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowsky.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
So just so that the people out in the public know, the Millennium Strategies has been phenomenal with us securing grants for us. They gave us, we got a lot of good grants, and they're well worth the money, but the supervisor did negotiate the same fee as the prior year, so there is no additional increase in their fees, which I thank you, Supervisor. That's a tremendous task, and I hope that we can get many more grants in the future.
Resolution 69-4 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint Maria Dusevic as a part-time cleaner for the Town of Hyde Park Highway and Recreation Departments.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowsky.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-5 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to increase the hours of the Town of Hyde Park Building Inspector, Raymond Cronister, to 40 hours per week.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowsky.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-6 of 2025, the Town of Hyde Park Town Board supports the New York State Assembly and Senate to pass a strong law to modernize the bottle bill.
May I have a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-7 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Supervisor to execute an indemnification agreement with Reen Productions Incorporated?
Is it rain?
Rain.
Rain, rain.
Rain.
Filming operation, yes.
Okay, may I have a second, please?
Second?
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-8 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to approve Antonio Rodriguez and Officer Mark Passantanio, I don't know why I keep messing up Mark's name, Passantanio, to attend the Basic Law Enforcement Bicycle Patrol Course from June 30th, 2025 through July 3rd, 2025 at the Ulster County Police Academy.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. This town board has done phenomenal work, and we approve a lot of these kind of trainings, because you got to remember, we just were notified that we are the 5th safest town, city in the state of New York. Congratulations. Big ROI.
Resolution 69-9 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to accept donations from Hyde Park Lions, District 20-0, New York, and the Hyde Park Chamber of Commerce for the Town of Hyde Park Recreation Department's 2025 Music in the Park Series.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-10 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Clerk to issue a hawking and peddling license to Jonathan Vasquez of Sun Run, Inc.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried.
Resolution 69-11 of 2025, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Clerk to issue a hawkers and peddlers license to Nicholas Kazar of Bazaar Bites.
May I have a second, please?
Second?
Will the clerk please take the roll call vote?
Councilman Prine.
Aye.
Councilwoman Mosqueda.
Aye.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Councilman Prisakowski.
Aye.
And Supervisor Torgiani.
Aye. Motion carried. We could go to new or old business for right now. Does anyone have any new, old business, or wants to bring anybody up to date on anything?
Board members or the
Board
public?
members.
You could go.
Recently issued May 16th, 2025, regarding the Fairview Fire District. The Office of the New York State Comptroller, headed up by Thomas DiNapoli, sent out some key findings of the audit that they have now completed, and I will read the following to you. The board and the district officials did not properly manage and oversee the district's financial operations and were not transparent. As a result, there was limited assurance in the information used by the board and district officials to make financial decisions was accurate or incomplete. We also determined that taxpayers had limited access to financial information to help ensure they could make informed decisions during the district operations. So this was started a long time ago, and now here's the findings in 2025. The board improperly assigned the duties of the district treasurer to an independent contractor. Unrealistic budget increased taxpayer burden and resulted in unrestricted fund balance totaling approximately $1.2 million, or 20% of the 2024 appropriations as of December 31st, 2023. Unrealistic budget increased taxpayer burdens and resulted in the district's reserve funds in total increasing by approximately $1.5 million, 84% over the last 5 fiscal years. The board meeting minutes did not always contain complete information or formal board actions and were not made available to the public review in a timely manner. So those are some things that we need to follow up with, and the public needs to follow up with the Fairview Fire District, because there's been complaints for many years, long before I ran, and when I was running, when I was going door to door, that there was a problem with the Fairview budget and how much they were being charged for the Fairview Fire District. So these are your state findings after an audit. Just wanted to bring that to the attention of the Hyde Park residents.
Good.
I also have a couple more things from my ward. Their cleanup is completed. There's a house on 9G right across the street from the SPCA. The frontage of the property is on 9G. The back of the property is on Benview Road. There was trash and garbage and furniture and all kinds of things. The neighbors saw rats running across the street, and it was there for months and months. In any event, I took it up with our new building inspector, Ray Cronister, and right before Labor Day, it was all cleaned up and the dumpster was taken away before Memorial Day, before Memorial Day. So the yard is all cleaned up. The owner of the property seems to be mowing the lawn now. It is vacated, and I'm not sure what the owner plans to do with it now, but it is clean and he is keeping proper maintenance of the property. I also had a complaint about the truck trailer that's behind Pete's Famous, and all kinds of garbage being thrown around behind in the back of Pete's Famous on Route 9. And Dave in zoning is addressing that issue, and I believe that citations are being finalized with the attorney, because there will be a court date on that matter, because it's not been cleaned up in July. And another matter I wanted to bring to everyone's attention, that my people on River Point Road and Big Meadow Lane are complaining about it's 45 miles an hour from St. Andrews Road all the way through Hyde Park, past Planet Fitness, and which passes River Point Road and Big Meadow Lane, and all the way through to Poughkeepsie, all the way through to the ShopRite Lake. That's 45 miles an hour. It is like a runway there. I have been getting gas at Speedway, and my hair is flying because that's how fast the cars are going. Anyway, I did contact Chief Benson again. He hears a lot from me in my district, and it is being watched by the Hyde Park Police, and I have seen a lot of lights and a lot of pullovers, and that's being watched very carefully these days. So it's 45 miles an hour, and I'd stick to it because we're on it. And that's all I have for this week.
Very good. Mark?
No, go ahead. I'll have something for next month.
You want to do the Dinsmore you did?
I want to make sure I have all the
Okay.
the information first.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Ward 3, we got a busy ward, of course. SLR Engineering out of New Paltz was awarded the resilience grant money for the $250,000 to actually go out and do the mapping and engineering work in the Roosevelt Road area. So Richard Maddox and Pete Sotero sat down with SLR Engineering the other day. They came up with some type of plan that we're going to be starting to have some informational meetings at Roosevelt Station 3 for the people that are in the back of Roosevelt Road, Lawrence Drive, all the back roads back there that they're basically going to start doing presentations, explaining to the people, the residents of that area, what we're planning on doing, going and, compiling elevations, some data, low-lying areas, and put it all on maps so that we can go to phase 2 of this grant, which is securing grant money to rectify a lot of them issues. So all the people in the Roosevelt Road area, they will be getting emails. We will be having flyers sent out when these informational meetings start coming to fruition, and we'll have everybody come and take a look at what we're doing, what we're proposing, get the public's input. We're going to need some, basically some okays or some permission to come in on some people's property to actually do some survey work. So Pete Sotero, our town engineer, with this engineering firm, will lay out what's going to take place and how it's going to take place. So that's a major task. East Dorsey Lane, we've been getting a lot of phone calls from people. Hey, what are you doing over there? We see the surveying crew, we see stripes, we see lines, we see numbers on the road. Dutchess County Wastewater hired MJ Engineering a while back to go out and do the survey work, starting at Pine Brook Estates and heading south, and then going east on East Dorsey. They did all the surveying right on down, and now they're going up Dutchess Hill. They're doing all the survey work with elevations and stations so that Dutchess County Wastewater can move along with their project of extending the water main from Pine Brook all the way up to Greenfields. So that's in the works, and we're excited about that. Over to Union Cemetery, I know in the last couple of weeks we've been having a lot of rain. We've been trying to get the grass mowed, everything trimmed back. I mean, I know that we got a couple complaints in the last 2 weeks. The guys are out there doing the best they can. Were complaining, hey, you got grass on the headstones. Listen, guys, every day it's been raining. We're trying to do the best we can to cut the grass, trim everything up, make it look respectable, and it's kind of hard when the grass is wet and the guys are mowing and stuff is sticking to the headstones. We're doing the best we can. We apologize, but hopefully this wet spell will be over soon, and we'll be back to square one. Craig Eldikin, I'd like to congratulate Craig Eldikin and the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, everybody. They went out prior to Memorial Day. They put documentations, and they put all the flags on all the headstones for all the veterans. They've been going through there, cutting brush, and doing a lot of work at the Union Cemetery, and we're making tremendous headway over there. Like everybody knows, the Union Cemetery was inherited by the town a couple of years back because it was not properly managed right. So we're trying to do the best we can to upgrade it, maintain it, and do everything we can to make sure that everybody is happy. The hawkers and peddlers license. We issued 2 hawkers and peddlers license today. If anybody ever has any question or complaints with people knocking on their doors or whatever the problem may be, we know that there are a lot of other people that are out there trying to sell solar, trying to do different things, and they don't have a hawkers and peddlers license. Anybody from the public can reach out to the police department or call the town clerk here if you had any questions. If anybody looks suspicious, you don't have to open the door. Call the police department. You can always call here to verify. If they don't have proper identification, just try to get whatever information you see visually. Call the police department or call the town hall. We'll send somebody out and take care of that. The Roosevelt Firehouse property that's back on Franklin Road and Roosevelt Road. As everybody knows, the town acquired that several months ago for $1 from the Roosevelt Fire District, which we appreciate very much. We're in the works to start searching for some grants to do a park there, maybe with some pickleball courts, a pavilion. Everybody seems to have some great ideas. We wanted to try to see if anybody out in the public that's in that close proximity to that parcel there on Roosevelt Road, if they wanted to be a part of the committee to give us input. We're trying to get a committee together of volunteers to work on that project. So if anybody's in that area and wants to spend a little time with us and come up with some ideas and work with me and the rest of the town board, that'd be greatly appreciated. The Fairview Fire District. Of course, Liz touched on that. That's a sore subject as far as I'm concerned. During my administration here, we had numerous complaints. The fire tax, of course, everybody knows is extremely high because of a lot of tax exempt parcels that are located in that district. Me personally, I support the Fairview Fire District, the paid members and volunteered members. But what I don't support is I don't support anybody that is not transparent with how they do business. And this is a sore subject with me, and me and Liz are working on this because it's in her ward and my ward. We are going to be drafting up some documentation, send it over to the fire commissioners over there and see if we can get a sit down behind closed doors and express our concerns and see how we're going to address trying to make that district more financially accountable for their actions. And we're going to report back to the taxpayers, and believe me, we're going to stay on it because it's not right. One other thing I would like to suggest or say that the supervisors has been working with Pete Sotero, Delaware, the Deputy Supervisor Don, where we've been working on the sewer project. We didn't forget about it. Unfortunately, like a couple people said, we're in the middle of the summer, which we didn't take in consideration because we're here working every day. But a lot of people go on vacation, a lot of people do different things, and we're just dragging behind a little bit. But we're moving forward with the sewer's plans of getting our mapping and designs and more information so that we can reach back out to the public. Cecilia in the supervisor's office has sent out some emails to the local residents within that district, trying to update phone numbers, emails, correspondence, so that we have the right information, so that when we meet with these people, we can basically send out a blast email so that everybody knows what's going on. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'd just like to touch on the back of that. The board was invited to Statsburg, where we were able to attend their very brief but wonderful dedication to the veterans down there on Memorial Day, followed by a very successful parade here in Hyde Park. And what I mean by successful is I think every year we get more and more residents that come out and appreciate the sacrifices that our veterans made for this country, followed by a wonderful service that was done right here in Hyde Park. And I'm so glad that the town supports our veterans more and more every year. It was a wonderful day for that. Followed by that, I did attend a brief seminar with the supervisor at the BOCES Center on battery storage. We had some very pertinent questions for the folks putting on those seminars still in its infant stage. One of the questions that I had was the actual recuperation for the money that would be for the town residents. And what I learned was that depends on how many other towns support that type of infrastructure and also invest in it, because any battery storage is returned to the main grid. So in order for the town residents to recoup any kind of reduction in their actual electric cost would depend on how many other towns contributed to that major grid before we even saw a return. So it was still in its infant stage. It was informative, but I'm looking forward to further discussions on that. Thank you.
Hold on, Don. One other thing is, you wanted to touch on the North Quaker, the 563? North Quaker, the house we want to move?
Well, I don't know where we are with that.
We move it at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, John. There's a sore subject with a lot of the folks up on North Quaker and North Quaker Heights. The 563 North Quaker, that's the house that was burnt down years ago and had been abandoned there. The town is still keeping the lawn mowed down on that. At this point, there's nothing moving forward on that other than keeping the grounds clear for that property right now. I didn't know if there was something you wanted to add to that, John.
No, the highway department went there. A lot of the neighbors are complaining that it's an eyesore, but right at the present time, we're keeping the grass cut and making it presentable in the neighborhood till we figure out our next plan of attack or next course of action.
Anyone that goes up North Quaker, you can't miss that house. Any of those residents that live in North Quaker Estates, it's the first thing they see when they turn into their development. So the town board is constantly working on trying to find a solution for that property.
Okay, I'd like to add for the, over at the cemetery, we're in the process of reworking the far north northeast end of the cemetery to create a larger area for veterans. That's going to have its own separate road tying into the main road. So that's what we're in the process of looking at, and that'll probably most likely be done hopefully through the highway. If not, then we would have to go out to bid with it, but hopefully we get that done. We're getting it done, so that'll give the veterans, because we're, as you can tell, we're running out of veteran space in there. So we have to widen it and make it a little more so that we can fit more veterans in there. Just wanted to add that. Anything else?
I just wanted, well, one happy note, for the summer months, the Beatrix Ferrand Garden at Belfield, which is at FDR, the Belfield Garden, they are holding free garden talks by professionals on every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, walk and talks with professionals. And as we were talking about before, native plants. On June 21st, Ashley Gamble joined her for a sensory-rich walk featuring fragrant foliage, ecological benefits, and native planting inspiration. So you guys that are gardeners, you may be interested out there in the public of these hour-free talks. And if you want more information, I'm sure it's on the FDR site, but you may want to just contact BFA, the Beatrix Ferdinand Garden at Belfield, bfga.org, I believe it is. And that's through the summer on Saturdays.
Well, when we have a meeting, like an executive session, just like call a recess in the meeting and then come back and get 10 minutes.
Since we're still awaiting a attorney to show up, we would like to call for a recess right now, and as soon as he does, we'll come back into session. Go all the way back to, what's it called, workshop. Petition submitted by Warren S. Lepansky, PC, pursuant to local law 1. The floor is yours. And yours.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Before we start...
Use the microphone, please, so...
This one here?
Yeah, you can take it right out if you want, Ken.
Or just
Not
turn
since
it.
my old
Have a
days.
seat, use the one next to you. Either way.
Mr. Supervisor and Town Board, before we start with any presentations, I'd like to address a predicate issue that is very important, I think, to what was requested this evening. First of all, I want to thank the board for taking the time to listen to both sides in this argument. It's an important argument. It establishes rules. It has consequences. You were kind enough to give each of us, myself and council, a schedule. And you said, on May 23rd, we want to have your written submission in hand as to why you think you're right, Mr. Stenger, why you think you're right, Mr. Raplansky, why you think you're right. And then on June 9th, we'll have a presentation from each of you. Okay. I was in a hospital on June 2nd. I made it here on June 9th. I did write a letter saying I might not. We didn't call my doctor today. He'd probably tell me not to be here. But you've taken the time. Everybody took the time to take a serious topic seriously. Now, on May 23rd, I did get a copy of Mr. Raplansky's submission. And I don't know who I got it from as we sit here, because it wasn't important to me at that point. It was hand-stamped from the clerk's office, so I know it was the one that you got. So tonight, I was prepared to come here and do what you asked to do, which was to make a presentation based on the submissions we made on May 23rd. And then, at around maybe 4:45, today was my first full day at the office. I worked about 3/4 on Friday, did not work Saturday or Sunday. I thought, you know, I got a break here in my schedule. Let me just check online, see who emailed me. And there's an email, and I think Town Clerk Homan, between you and Mr. Raplansky's office, to which I was obviously a party, and I don't know how, but I can tell you that I saw you were discussing that you received the document. And so I went through my emails and found out at 4:39 there had been a further submission made by Mr. Raplansky in connection with this matter. Now, we were all supposed to make our filings by May 23rd. This was filed at 4:40, and I didn't get a copy of it emailed to me. I got a copy of it because, and I don't know why or how, I got a copy of it because I saw the communication between the town clerk and, I think, Mr. Raplansky's secretary, and I printed it, see what it was, because what caught my eye was, I think it was your comment, Ms. Holman, that yes, I received it, all 30 pages of it. I think that, I don't, if I misquote you, I'm sorry, I apologize. But I'm like, whoa, what's that? So then I printed it and I looked at it, and sure enough, there's 5 pages of new argument that I haven't seen before, and roughly 20 pages of exhibits, some of which I'd seen before and some of which I had not. But all I know, it was like 5:15. I spoke to Mr. Raplansky. We did not have the best conversation. It was a heated conversation. It concluded with a repeat of Mr. Raplansky's earlier request that I perform an anatomically impossible act, and then the phone was slammed down on me. So when Mr. Raplansky, we didn't speak, haven't spoken since then. Now, under these circumstances, if I was in a courtroom, a judge might say, no, you know what, you're too late. I told you May 26th, keep going. But the circumstances here are very odd. First of all, we're not in a courtroom. But it seems to me, well, in any event, I thought about this driving up here on how to get away from the heat of that conversation, and what would make sense in terms of allowing people to be heard and also bring some economy to this process. So I'll tell you what my idea is how to resolve this, but first I will say to you, I just spoke to Mr. Raplansky in the hallway, who did not repeat his prior request of me, but certainly I think might have if we were in a more private setting. I asked him specifically, can we agree to an adjournment schedule? And he said, no, we can't. I was invited here tonight to give a presentation. I am going to give the presentation. And that was it. I didn't take that conversation beyond that. There was no point to it. So now I'm thinking about what makes sense for our process, because I think the problem I have, a big problem I have with this is there's a certain degree of advocacy that should not place the advocate's importance over the process in front of us. And this process is extremely critical to everyone involved. My client, Mr. Raplansky's clients, the ones that live in Hyde Park, anyway. And if I were to argue to you and say, don't let this response in, then I think I'm undercutting the process. So I don't think it hurts us to let everyone be heard on this issue. I'm making an argument that I think is supported by law and fact, that this petition cannot be heard by this board because it was improperly presented. That's my argument. You're going to decide whether I'm right or wrong. Mr. Raplansky's position is no, it was properly presented, it can be heard. So now we're in this situation where, what do? I'm obviously jackpotted here, right? So, I mean, I'm obviously getting notice of this on the way out the door to come to you. In fact, I'm here at 6:30, ready to go, and now it's 7:30, and here we are. So I have a proposal that I would like to offer to the board by way of a path forward that would respect the process and allow everyone to be heard without prejudice to anyone's position. If a judge allowed this late submission at the 11th hour, he would do so, or she would do so, only if the lawyer had a good excuse for being that late. I don't need that here. We don't need that here. You got people in the audience who live in this town, want to be heard on this application as to whether or not it was properly filed. Okay. My suggestion would be the following. Let Mr. Raplansky's papers, his submission, go into the record tonight. But I deserve the right, the ability to respond to it in kind. I've read them while we were sitting here, while I was listening kind of one ear to your business, but one eye reading this. And I will say to you that in what I read, which is, there was 5 pages of argument, there are 8 new cases that haven't been cited before that I need to read to see whether they apply or they don't apply. I'm not going to judge and say, Mr. Raplansky put cases in that are going to deceive you. I don't want to say that. What I want to say is, I deserve a chance to read those materials before I argue or make a comment on it. And I will also say that in reading his writing, there were at least 4 or 5 instances where it's not clear whether Mr. Raplansky did not understand the argument that I was making or he's misstating it. And I don't want to do that.
I don't want to interrupt you, Mr. Stenger. Forgive me, but let's do this. I do think it's appropriate, and I understand where you're coming from, and I think I get the gist of it at this point, if that's okay and the board agrees. If you wouldn't mind, sir, let's just hear from Mr. Raplansky at this point, and then we'll hear something. We'll hear further from.
I have a proposal. If you'd like to hear it.
Is it okay?
Before the proposal, please let me hear from.
Yes.
Thank you.
First of all, I just want to point out that after we made our submission, our petition to my client's petition to this board, Mr. Stenger sent 3 letters to this board.
Can you hear back there?
There's a lot of noise coming from...
Yeah, see if you want to pull that closer.
Is that better?
Is that better back there?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Is this on?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just back.
Actually,
Thank you.
He sent
pull the mic just a bit.
3 letters to this board challenging our submissions. There's nothing in your local law that permitted him to do that. Mr. Stenger makes up the rules and dictates the rules as he pleases. Those 3 letters challenged the petition on specious grounds, and then we had to respond to that. There was nothing, there was no directive from this board. There's nothing in your law which permitted him to do that. So we had to go through the trouble of submitting additional documentation to this board to respond to his letters. What happened after that was that we received a letter from Mr. Barnett indicating that he wanted me to respond to 2 issues that were raised. One was the standing issues of my clients, and the other was the issue with regard to the standing issue from of my clients, and the other was the
scope of the argument.
The scope of the argument. I'm sorry, I just lost track of mine. This is the second meeting I've been here tonight. And the scope of the argument is that Mr. Stenger raised the issue sua sponte, by himself. There's nothing in your statute which permitted that, indicating that the submission by my clients was not within the scope of local law number 1. I could have objected to that. I thought it was totally outrageous and improper, but we respected that and we responded to that and we filed additional documentation with this board, and we were directed to appear tonight.
Not you. The people back there can hear you speak.
For me to address those 2 issues. What I did was, I put together what I was going to submit to the board tonight to address those issues as directed by Mr. Barnett's letter. And I said, I think it's better if I put them in writing, because all I'm going to do is read this submission to the board so that Mr. Stenger has a copy of it, and we did send a copy to him, and that the board had a copy of it. These are not new arguments. This is the response that we were directed to present to the board tonight. As far as giving Mr. Stenger a fourth bite of the apple, I would object to having him have the ability to adjourn this matter and to submit written submissions in opposition tonight. We are here tonight to discuss the contents of my presentation, which I'm going to read to the board. But I gave you the courtesy of having it in writing, because I know that it helps you when you review this. If you hear it orally, it's difficult to absorb it. It's better to have it in writing. There was no hanky-panky. Mr. Stenger accused me of unethical practice, and we had words. I'll tell you, I told Mr. Stenger that I would put my ethics against him any day of the week. So I am prepared to do whatever the board wants to do. You're the ones who should be directing this, not Mr. Stenger. He takes control of the whole process. He took control of the process before the Zoning Board of Appeals. He takes control of whatever process he's involved in, and dictates to everybody how it should be done. And I am tired of it. And I did lose my temper tonight. I apologize for that. Okay. But I see no reason why we cannot just put this in the record. I'm happy to read my letter to the board. If Mr. Stenger wants to respond to it, there's nothing new here. It's just a response to his 3 letters, and get this issue over with. We think it's a totally spurious argument that the petition that was filed by my office on behalf of my client was not properly authorized by my client. We have clarified that through a further submission. We also clarified how our original submission comports with the scope of the issues to be raised in Local Law Number 1 of 2025 when you're challenging an application for road access. So I don't want to come back here another night on this. No. I just want to get this over with. I'm happy to just read the letter. It's a 4-page letter. It's not 30 pages. The attachment is one attachment. It's KRC's submission. He's seen this before, I would expect. And I would point out, as I'm going to point out in my presentation, that KRC's submission contains no authorization from CECNY. It's not signed by CECNY. There is nothing in their notice that was filed with the building inspector and the town which in any way indicates that they had the authorization to file the notice of petition, the notice of their intent with the town board. So if you accept Mr. Stanger's argument that our petition is invalid because our clients didn't sign it and there was no authorization, then KRC's submission has to be denied also by this board. And we've addressed that in this letter. I would like to finish this up, get it before you for a decision. Whatever decision you make, we'll deal with it. But I don't want to have to come back here, and I don't want to have to respond to any further submissions from Mr. Stanger on this, or have another hearing in July when all of us would hope to be on vacation at least for part of that month.
Does any board member want to say anything at this point, or do you want me to jump in?
No, I'll jump in. Well, to start, it's kind of convoluted of how this whole approach took place, but when Kyle explained to me that he thought that it would be best that you come in and do a presentation and say your fair share, everybody was ecstatic because that's the right approach. And I agreed with that approach, and I supported that. The part of the approach that I don't agree with, and I think that if you and Ken Stanger are having arguments, whatever, so be it amongst yourself. I think it's absolutely disrespectful that I come here at 5:30 today, and I got done at work at 4:30, and Mr. Stanger has been ill, and he rushed down here to find out that Kyle Burnett tells me Warren's got to be a couple minutes late. He's at Rhinebeck or Red Hook town meeting or whatever the case may be, and I'm saying, listen, we all agreed, forget about the dog and pony show that you guys are fighting about. We all agreed that we were going to be here tonight to discuss everything, get the stuff in so we can review it and move forward. I walk in at 5:30, and at 5:45, I get this stack of paper dropped on me. This is what Warren's going to talk about. And we get done with the town board meeting no longer than 45 minutes longer. And I said to Kyle, is Warren coming? Yeah, he's going to make a call. He's going to be a couple minutes late. I said, okay, let's adjourn. Let's go to the bathrooms. And 7:30, 45 minutes later, you walk in the door and you want to have a conversation. I think that's inappropriate.
May I respond to that?
Well, when I'm done, you sure may.
Oh, you're, okay.
I think that's inappropriate because it's disrespectful to every town board member that's here. And whatever you're going to say, I didn't even get a chance to read this document because it got dumped on me the last minute. And even if I didn't get this document and you came and wanted to speak, I would give you all the opportunity in the world. But now it's 7:45, and now we're going to revisit this whole thing where I've been here 2 hours or over an hour waiting for you to get here. Now you can speak.
Okay. I don't think you have all the information.
I
hope
will
Kyle
say
will
this.
back me up
Yeah,
on
I'll
this.
say this.
Let me finish.
Let me just say this
I wanna
before you respond. So in terms of the being late isn't entirely Mr. Raplansky's. That's not entirely. I did originally say, we could be here later. When I realized that the agenda was a lot shorter than originally I anticipated, I then reached out to Mr. Raplansky to ask him to be here at 7 o'clock. But originally his schedule was something I tried to accommodate, and that's the reason why we've been waiting for him. So that's not his fault. Now, as part of getting the submission late, that's a different story.
Yeah. If you didn't show up at 7, right?
If I could explain. When I received notice that you wanted this on for tonight, I sent a letter to Kyle, to Mr. Barnett, I'm sorry, and I informed them that I had no problem in coming to the meeting, but I could not make it at 6 o'clock because I had a Town of Rhinebeck public hearing at 6 o'clock in Rhinebeck. And I told them I could be here at 7:30, and that was the agreement, that I would be here at 7:30.
He said to you 7:30?
It was originally 7:30, and then I moved it to 7, but it was later. It was until later on today, once I realized the agenda was so short.
So I'm sorry, that criticism is off base. I would never have disrespected the board by simply coming in late if we were scheduled to be here at 6. I was scheduled to be here at 7:30. I had to be at a very important public hearing tonight in Rhinebeck. I advised Mr. Barnett of that fact, and I got here when I told Mr. Barnett I could be here at 7:30.
And these documents couldn't have got here a day sooner?
No, well, let me explain. I thought I did explain
Well,
to you.
you did, but...
No, let me explain. Excuse me, let me explain. Okay? What I was going to do was make my oral presentation, and when I formulated my oral presentation, I realized that it was better to put it in writing, so you would have a record of my oral presentation. If I made this oral presentation without something in writing, you would have had nothing to review after the hearing tonight. I believe the last time that I came here and made a presentation, I read something to the board, and Mr. Barnett asked me to submit that so it could be in writing so I could review it. So this is not a new document. It's not a new argument. It's simply what I was going to present tonight orally.
I don't know if it's a new argument.
So I'm giving it to you in writing. I didn't expect you to digest this tonight. I assumed that you would close the hearing tonight and read this and make a decision. I would never have expected you or Mr. Stenger to absorb all this and make a response tonight. And I'm happy to. I'd like to just read the 4-page letter, and that will be my submission. But there's not several documents that are attached to this. There's nothing new in here. It's just a response to the 3 letters that Mr. Stenger had sent challenging our petition, and I think we have a right to respond to that.
All right, so, hold on a second, Ken.
There's something I really need to clear up on that record.
Okay, all right, all right. Whenever that is.
May I?
Yep.
So this is really important. I've spent 10 minutes with this document. When you argue something that's fully submitted in front of the court, as we all, the lawyers in this room know, we don't get to hand up what we said to the judge, because the judge has all of our submissions. Every submission that I made to this board on this topic was made in accordance with the schedule set by this board. May 23rd. I started this with some letters May 2nd. Then we had a letter from Kyle, make your final submission by May 23rd. I made it. So did Mr. Raplansky. He can't complain. None of us. The idea that somehow I skirted the rules here, okay, I get it. It's the moment. But it's not true. There's something else that's really important. In what I read today, I read an argument that I don't think I've ever seen before. And I haven't had the chance to go look at it, but it struck me as new, and you just heard it tonight, which is, wait, if the petition can't be heard because it was not properly signed by a resident of the town of Hyde Park, then the underlying notice that gave rise to the petition should be set aside because it's not signed by CECNY. I've never heard that argument. I have no recollection of hearing that argument until I read this today while I was sitting here, or until I just heard it now. I'm not suggesting, I have a solution, I think, I would offer it, and maybe it serves everybody's purposes. He doesn't want to come back, I don't want to come back. We'll bore the hell out of you guys.
Here's what I'm going to suggest, if it's okay. May I?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Raplansky, if you want to read that into the record, that's fine. I don't think the board will stop you. Alternatively, unless the board feels differently, if you want to just submit what you've got, since that's going to be your presentation anyway in the interest of time, we can accept that. I would suggest, however, since there was a submission date and since there may be another argument in there, we don't come back. This will be closed following this, and then the board will make a determination at the next meeting as to whether to accept the petition. If Mr. Stenger wants some time to put in some sort of a response, I think we would allow that if the board is in agreement, but then that's going to be it. And then the board's going to make a determination as to whether to accept the petition at the next time the town board meets. Is that okay with you?
No, I'm sorry. That's not the way it was set up. I mean,
do you want to read
let me explain why. Because
no, I'm asking you, do you want to submit or do you want to read the letter?
I'd rather read the letter. The idea was that we would both be here, and I would make my presentation here, and Mr. Stenger would make his presentation here.
Okay, then let's...
I didn't make a motion to dismiss. I wouldn't do something like that.
All right, fair enough.
I didn't make a motion to dismiss KRC's submission, even though it was defective, under the same grounds that Mr. Stenger claims our submission was defective because it was not properly authorized. I wouldn't do that. Mr. Stenger did that. I was just making a point that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you're going to dismiss our petition on a mere technicality, a bizarre technicality, then you've got to dismiss KRC because their submission doesn't comport with the law. If he withdraws his objection to our submission, I'll withdraw my objection to his client's submission. But if not, we expect that the KRC is going to be dismissed if you dismiss ours.
Over his objection, what I'm suggesting is over his objection, we're going to accept that, okay? And then over your objection, we'll accept whatever brief response Mr. Stenger wants to put in.
Maybe we don't have to come back.
And we're not going to come back. This is going to be it, regardless. This is the end unless the board tells me otherwise. So that's the way I think this thing gets played out, because this thing's got to come to a conclusion. So if without anything further unless the board feels otherwise, Mr. Raplansky, please feel free to.
Can you just make sure I understand? Are you stating that will allow Mr. Raplansky to address the board, read his statement into the record, but you will allow me, you'll give me time to make a written response to what he puts into the record?
Correct.
All right, but I'll be able to speak here this evening as to whatever he has to say? I'll keep it brief. There's no point to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, why don't we just do it that way? Just
Okay.
the way it's-
What was that? I'm sorry.
All right, so what will happen is Mr. Raplansky will read his statement into the record.
Right.
I will have a period of time, I would like to have 3 weeks to file a written response to this. If the board, after listening to Mr. Raplansky and reading my response, wishes to have further argument, you can always ask us back. But if not, you'll have a basis for making this decision.
Unless the board feels differently. I think 2 weeks is more than enough time. So let's do 2 weeks if that's okay with everybody. Can you do 2 weeks, Mr. Stein?
2 weeks, fine.
I can't.
Mr.
Well, only I'm
Raplansky.
putting a submission in one.
Huh?
I'm the only one putting a submission.
I would just like to point out that the 3 letters that Mr. Stenger sent, May 2nd, May 23rd, and May 5th, were not authorized by your statute. They were not authorized by your statute. I like that in the
Absolutely
record.
noted.
If you don't mind, I'll just try to get through this.
Whatever's convenient for you.
I don't want to keep you here any longer than you have.
Mr. Raplansky, the floor is yours, whatever's convenient for you.
Okay, thank you.
Of course,
So can I start?
whenever you're ready.
Okay. So, you're being too nice to me.
I don't want you to yell.
Is that uncharacteristic?
You're disarming me when you do that.
Maintaining a certain level of professionalism.
As you know, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the board. My name is Warren Raplansky. I'm an attorney in Rhinebeck, New York, and I represent Kelly Jennings, Shannon Lasher, and Tess Lampert, 2 of my clients who are here tonight, all of whom are residents of the town of Hyde Park, who submitted the petition seeking the prohibition of the proposed access roads for 6 Senses dated April 17, 2025, pursuant to local law number 1 of 2025. As I'm sure you're aware, the application seeks to expand, construct, and operate 2 access roads, associated bridges, and other improvements for its proposed 6 Senses Valley Resort on properties at 24050 Route 9G and 68 Naylor Road. As stated in the petition, the proposed access roads and other improvements within the town of Hyde Park are designed to provide ingress and egress to and from 6 Senses Resort property, and they, in our opinion, offend public morals and/or endanger or injure the property, health, or safety of residents of the town of Hyde Park. And as an aside, I would just point out, those are very difficult standards for anybody, any resident to meet. And it's really, we think, unfair to set type of standard for anybody, any resident adjacent to this, to have to come into the town board to meet, especially if they're not represented by legal counsel. By letter dated May 2nd, 2025, Mr. Stenger argues that, in quotes, a cursory review of the petition filed on April 17th confirms that the petition was not made by a resident of the town of Hyde Park as required by local law, and for that reason must be rejected by the town board. This allegation was made in spite of the fact that the petition clearly states that all 3 petitioners were residents of the town of Hyde Park, and their addresses are listed in the petition. And the board could certainly have confirmed those addresses with the town clerk or the assessor's office. Mr. Stenger states, without legal support, that since local law number 1 provides that the notice to residents of the town of Hyde Park and the building inspector of the proposed use of the access in question may be made by a property owner or, in quotes, authorized representative, but does not specifically provide that an authorized representative may file a petition on behalf of the residents. And because of that, he argues that the petition was fatally defective. Mr. Stenger also argues that the statute, by implication, not by verbiage in the statute, requires that it be actually signed by the petitioning property owners and not by the petitioning property owner's legal representative. For this additional reason, he alleges the petition was fatally defective and must be rejected by this board. These arguments, in our opinion, are patently without legal or factual merit. There is no stated requirement in the local law that the petition must be signed by the individual petitioners rather than their legal representative. There is no provision in local law number 1 which prohibits the petition from being signed and filed by the petitioner's legal counsel on their behalf. The town clerk, who's been very cooperative, I must say, every time we've asked for information, when asked specifically about whether there were any filing requirements for the petition, did not state that there were any filing requirements. There was no form provided for filing. There's nothing in law which states what has to be included or the process for filing the petition, other than the fact that it has to, you have to argue that it offends the morals, et cetera, et cetera. The town board's reading into the clear text of the statute of such a requirement with its resulting onerous results, and they are onerous, would violate the normal statutory rules of construction. And I have cited McKinney's statutes 94 and the commentary included with that portion of the statute. In interpreting provisions of a town code, our courts have held that the code's terms should be given a fair and reasonable construction in light of the manifest intention of the legislative body, the objects sought to be obtained, the natural import of the words used in common and accepted uses, the setting in which they are employed, and the general structure of the law as whole. And I've cited several cases. Those are the new cases that Mr. Stenger was referring to. In making such determinations, boards and reviewing courts are required to apply their own common sense and logic. As one court has opined, a reviewing board is not vested with despotic and arbitrary powers. It must act intelligently and fairly within the domain of reason. And certainly it's our position that a dismissal on this technicality would not be in the domain of reason. It is also well-settled law that zoning and other code provisions should not be interpreted in a manner which achieves an absurd result. Neither should a municipal law, I'm sorry, there's a typo in that, should say municipal, law be interpreted in a manner which strains credibility. Mr. Stenger's contention that the petition was defective because it is not clear that the petition has been filed by or on behalf of residents of the town of Hyde Park is patently ludicrous. The petition sets forth the name of each petitioner and their addresses, all of which are stated to be within the town of Hyde Park, and clearly states that council is filing the petition on their behalf. And I just want you to know, in petition practice in Supreme Court, it's not uncommon for petitions to be filed by counsel for the petitioners rather than signed and filed by the petitioners. In fact, most are filed by counsel for petitioners. Unquestionably, the three petitioners have the requisite standing under local law number 1 to file the petition. Critically, CECNY was in no way prejudiced by the lack of direct signatures by the petitioners, as CECNY knew that the petition was timely filed and was able to review and respond to the same. Conversely, imposing the signature requirement on petitioners, who did make a good faith effort to determine the precise filing requirements as referred to just now and in my letter of May 2nd, would be substantially prejudicial and deny petitioners of their rights as set forth in local law number 1. Equally specious is Mr. Stenger's argument that the petition was not signed by an authorized representative because there is a, and I'm quoting Mr. Stenger, there is a specific document and statement which must be signed and submitted with the application which confirms that status as an authorized representative. In fact, Mr. Stenger took the opportunity to comment that as a lawyer with many years of municipal practice, I should have known better, and I resent that. Assuming that argument has any legal merit, which it does not, the issue is laid to rest by the subsequent submission of petitioners made on May 23rd, which clearly underscored that my law firm had the authority to act as their legal representative in these proceedings. If Mr. Stenger's arguments have any merit, it is also clear that the notice of intent to utilize the access road dated March 20th, 2025, filed by KRC, is equally deficient and should also be struck by the town board. The notice, a copy of which I've attached to my letter as Exhibit A, is signed by the consultant, Kerry Leibel of KRC. Nowhere in the notice of intent is there a signature of the officer of CECNY, nor does the notice packet contain a signed statement or certification which confirms the status of KARC as an authorized representative of CECNY for purposes of providing the property owner notice required by local law number 1. Therefore, if the town board determines that the petition must be rejected as defective for the lack of proper authorization, the board must also declare that the notice as set forth in the March 2025 packet sent by KARC is equally defective and must nullify the same. Mr. Stenger also submitted a letter to the town board dated May 23rd, 2025, in which he repeated the same specious arguments contained in his letter of May 2nd, 2025. In addition, Mr. Stenger argues that local law number 1, section 2B, limits the scope of the petition to a demonstration that the proposed use will offend public morals or endanger or injure the property, health, or safety of the residents of the town board. However, other than these conclusory allegations, Mr. Stenger does not specify in his letter in what respects the petition exceeds the scope of the standards set forth in law for challenging the proposed road access. It is therefore impossible to intelligently respond to Mr. Stenger's objections because we don't know what those objections are. Notwithstanding, it is respectfully submitted that the original petition does in fact aptly demonstrate that the proposed development will offend public morals and endanger or injure the property, health, and safety of the residents of the town of Hyde Park. Those factual allegations have been amplified and clarified by the subsequent submission made by the petitioners to the town board, which specifically enumerates the particular ways in which the access roads impact and meet those criteria. So I urge you to read the supplemental submission that we made, because I think it clearly indicates how the original submission and our supplemental submission meets those criteria, as difficult as they are to meet. It also explains how those criteria must be understood in the context of local law number 1 generally. The fact that Mr. Stenger and/or the town board may not agree with all of the factual and legal arguments made by the petitioners does not mean that the town board has the requisite power or authority to reject or strike all or even some of the petition prior to considering them fully at a public hearing. The public hearing process is designed to ensure that the petitioners and members of the public will have the opportunity at the public hearing to amplify their contentions that the proposed use will in fact offend public morals and or endanger the property, health, or safety of residents of the town of Hyde Park. For the town board to exercise authority not granted to it either by local law number 1 or any other provision of the town code to reject out of hand portions of the petition upon the conclusory generalized allegations of Mr. Stenger that the petition makes arguments beyond the scope of local law number 1 would constitute a gross denial of administrative due process. Similarly, there's no merit to Mr. Stenger's arguments that the limitation period for filing the petition has expired. The petitioners do not have the requisite power or authority to, the petitioners do have, take that word out.
I read that
Do
one.
have, that's important.
I was curious when you would get there.
I'm glad you caught that. Have the requisite power or authority to amend and supplement their original petition. There is nothing in local law number 1 which prohibits the petitioners from amending and/or supplementing the petition after the filing of the same, even if the time period for filing the original petition has expired. Mr. Stenger argued that once the statute of limitations for filing the petition was met, there could be no amendment to the petition, which is patently untrue. And that's not the law in the Supreme Court, Dutchess County, or any other court. While petitioners do not agree any mistake was made regarding the form of the petition, allowing the parties to correct a filing mistake that did not result in any prejudice to the parties is well established in New York law. Amendments to filed petitions and complaints are specifically and liberally permitted pursuant to CPLR 3025 and applicable decisional law of the state of New York with regard to application of what we call the relation back doctrine. And I've cited the 2 cases. The relation back doctrine is that once you file a petition or a complaint and you amend that petition or complaint, even if the original statute of limitations has expired by application of the relation back to the original filing, you can amend the complaint. That's what those cases say, and there's a plethora of cases to that effect. There is nothing in local law number 1 which prohibits modification or amplification of the original petition after the filing of the same, even if the limitation period for the filing of the original petition has expired. There is nothing in that statute or the Town of Hyde Park Code which prohibits such amendments or amplification, especially given the fact that additional evidence is sure to be supplied during the course of the public hearing process. Just remind you that you do, local law number 1 provides for a public hearing. I'm assuming that you expect that at the time of the public hearing, the petitioners and the applicant and the members of the public will have an opportunity to weigh in on this issue. So there'll be additional evidence that you have to consider in making your final determination on whether the criteria for local law number 1 have been met. Finally, in Mr. Stenger's May 23rd, 25 submission, he references and recognizes the need for a review of petitioners' contentions regarding the environmental consequences of the proposed access road. Petitioners agree that these impacts will be devastating and harmful to Hyde Park residents, as a consequence, the proposed Hyde Park access road development should not be permitted. For all the above reasons, it is respectfully requested that the arguments set forth in Mr. Stenger's letter should be rejected by the town board and their authority. Thank you for allowing me to read that.
All right,
I
so.
just want to get a calendar out.
Yeah.
Do you have one you can look at? I have a June 20th date set by Judge Hayes to file a motion to dismiss the Article 78 action that's pending between the town, myself, and everybody else in this room. So if we agreed to 2 weeks, Mr. Barnett, that would mean I'd have to make my submission 2 days after that submission.
I'm sorry, give me that date again, I'm sorry.
All right, we have another matter, right, from the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I'm fully aware of that.
So that's got a June 20 motion to dismiss date. That means I have to make my motion on that date. Any other party who wishes to dismiss the complaint has to make the motion on that date.
Well, actually, it says in the order that the answering papers must be due. You can make a motion in lieu of an answering paper.
So, yeah.
Say that one more time, the June 20th?
June 20th date,
Okay,
and Mr. Raplansky's correct. If a party wishes to make a motion to dismiss the complaint or the petition, it has to be made by June 20th. Alternatively, if a party wishes to just simply answer and let this matter go forward in the Supreme Court, then you have to file your answer by June 20th. That's the deadline.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Stenger, I apologize. I'm, just for the board's aware, I'm going to be out that third week of June anyway, from the 23rd to the 27th.
I'm just trying to buy a couple of days between the events so that I can have some time to
So presumably I'll be the one digesting a lot of this stuff that comes in. So I don't have a problem if it's okay with you guys to have the response in later that week, because I'm not going to see it anyway. So if you want to make it the 26th, which is the Thursday, it's a couple extra days.
I'm fine with that.
So what day did you pick?
It's Thursday the 26th, June 26th.
That'd be great. That gives me a little breathing room in there. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so that's good. I will make my submission, in which I will respond to what you just heard this evening, and I will point out to you what I see as misstatements in the record, and you'll make a decision.
Yep.
And you won't, if you have need for either one of us to come back, which I'm sure you won't, if you do, you'll ask. Otherwise, you will decide.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your courtesy.
Thank you. Motion adjourned.
Okay, have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.